Hey, welcome back to the Spector Creative channel. In addition to my knowledge about how toys are made from working in the toy industry, I've picked up on a lot of sort of odd and end stories. Some don't really work for a full video. Like, as an example, the Knight Rider car kit. Well, it often gets, well, I guess you could say, made fun of online or harassed because the little dashboard in front makes it look like you're just driving around in a Battlestar Galactica Cylon. Well, actually, yeah, this isn't a joke. This is actually 100% true. The same designer who designed the Cylons also designed the kit car and actually literally did that deliberately. He put the Cylon Eye into kit as an homage to a previous character or armor robot thing that he made. So, yeah, sometimes these things are true. All right. Now, there's one thing I do love. It's a good mystery. And if you couldn't tell from my background here or my actual living background, I'm a big fan of Sherlock Holmes. I got to play him in 7th grade. That was really fun. So, yeah, I like a good murder mystery. And as a toy guy, well, when I first heard about the murder mystery in playing cards, I was absolutely intrigued because there's no real more basic toy than a playing card. Well, maybe a marble. Okay, maybe a jacks. Maybe a stick. Okay, well, the point is, with playing cards, it's a lot like a Transformers theme deck because there's more than meets the eye. The characters of the cards, meaning your, King of Hearts, your Queen of Hearts, your, Alice. No, wait, Alice wasn't in the deck. The royalty, the face cards. Well, there has been a murder mystery going on, especially involving the so-called Suicide King, King of Hearts. And, well, it's one of those things I've picked up over the years. So, the basic first principle to understand about playing cards is that all of the figured, or the head, the cards with characters represent actual kings and queens. The King of Spades was David, the Queen of Spades, or excuse me, the King of Spades was David, the King of Clubs was Alexander the Great, the King of Hearts, Charlemagne, or King Charles the Great, and then the King of Diamonds was Julius Caesar. Same thing for the queens and for the jacks. It was just a way of historically honoring different royalty and making the cards appeal to the masses. Obviously, the images of the cards have changed over the years, but even going back centuries, you'll see that the so-called Suicide King has been suiciding himself, if you will, for a long, long, long time. And this stands out because while there's another king, the King of Diamonds, called the Suicide King, he's just holding an axe up. It's only the King of Hearts that has a sword going through him. And so again, this represents Charlemagne is the one, I guess, dying on our playing card. So the question is it suicide or was it murder? And that was actually part of the story, is the fact that Charlemagne supposedly did commit suicide by running a sword through his head. And after his supposed suicide, his image was changed on the playing cards to one showing the suicide. Okay, hey, good story, totally works, and that's acceptable. But as you look at the design of the cards, and again, as you saw, they haven't changed that much, it really emerges that there's a murder mystery that the king was killed. Now, credit where it's due, Christian Kimlad, who's a magician and business speaker, has put out what he even calls his own theory about this murder mystery, and we'll go through his first, but then I want to add on the additional details. He says he's just, he kind of literally says he just made this up because it seemed like fun, but he was onto something. He just was really close, just didn't put the final piece together. All right, so let's lay out our usual suspects. We've got our kings, our queens, and our jacks, all representing historical, biblical, or mythical kings and queens. All right, and the four suits, each one obviously a little different, but you'll notice with the kings, the King of Hearts is more different than the others. In the hands, he's the only face card that has 4 hands visible. Every other one, every queen, every jack, and every king only have 2 visible hands. But the King of Hearts has 4. And if you look at them, the top sleeve, the one that's holding the sword, doesn't match the middle sleeve holding his vest. He has 2 completely different sleeves. That's odd. All right, let's look at the queens. So again, they're all dainty looking. They all hold a flower. Most of them just have a dress, but one of them has cuffs on her gown, the Queen of Spades. So she's still holding a flower, looking dainty, and again, like every other face card, only two hands are visible. But it's interesting when you look at her cuff and compare it to that cuffed hand holding the sword. Oh my gosh! All right, so this was the theory that's kind of been put out there. And yes, if you look at the Queen of Spades and compare her sleeve to the King of Hearts, or rather to that second hand sticking up there out of the top that doesn't match his own hand, that is the theory that's put out by Kostian Kimla. And by the way, great guy. He does a lot of fundraising for Ukraine. He's a Ukrainian man, and he definitely support his channel. And I want to make sure credit where it's due. All right, so let's dive a little deeper. Again, noting that the cards haven't changed that much over the years. I mean, they have. And yes, the Queen of Spades and that second hand do look extremely similar, especially on modern cards. But we haven't looked at the jacks yet. I mean, there's a whole other face card category. All right, so again, looking at the jacks, you have your one-eyed jacks, your two-eyed jacks. But again, all of the jacks' hands are hidden except for one. Only one has sleeves, and that's the Jack of Clubs. And if you look at his sleeve, and again, much like with the Queen of Spades, his sleeve is even a better match for that hand coming up behind the King of Hearts and stabbing him in the head. While the Queen of Spades looks close to that, really comparing all three of them. Now let's remind who these characters are. So the King of Hearts, Charlemagne, the Queen of Spades, Athena, goddess of war, and the Jack of Clubs is Judah Maccabee. So you have a Greek goddess, or what would have been viewed in the Middle Ages, a pagan goddess, hiring a religious zealot to off the king. Now, before you start, let me be friend about it, because as a Jewish man myself, this is not an anti-Semitic thing. Judah Maccabee here is actually being celebrated at not only as shown as just a religious zealot, not a Jewish zealot, but more so that he was historically someone who overthrew a king. So the story that's being told is it's reminding kings that if they go too far, there are religious zealots out there that will rise up and overthrow them. That is something they should be aware of. If you look at the sleeves on that Jack of Clubs and that hand coming out from behind the King of Hearts, it's a perfect match. The King of Hearts and the Queen of Spades is absolutely a good start, and it is part of the story, because the idea is that the queen represented Athena, the goddess of war, and she's the one whispering in the ear of the Jack of Clubs, telling him to kill the King of Hearts. It's a three-way story, and it's kind of like before we had books for kings and queens on tape, you had to use other methods of teaching. And just like chess was teaching about battlefields, the face cards and playing cards were teaching kings and reminding them of where a weakness could reside and that kings can be overthrown. And if you want to avoid being overthrown, then you need to be tolerant. I hope you enjoyed this video, and it was a good look at how those playing cards we use every day, well, maybe not every day, but a lot, or more than meets the eye. Have your own theories, have your own thoughts? Always great to hear them in the comments below. And as always, thanks for watching, thanks for sharing, and I'll see you guys in the next video.